First Man is the newest film from director Damien Chazelle, who broke into the mainstream in 2014 by writing and directing Whiplash, a movie that won 3 Oscars and was nominated for 2 more. He continued his hot streak in 2016 with La La Land, which won 6 Academy Awards, including Best Director, and tying the all-time Oscar nomination record with 14. First Man stars Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, and Claire Foy from The Crown as his wife Janet. I loved Whiplash and La La Land, and I'm a huge fan of both Gosling and Foy, so I was pretty excited for this film. While this was certainly a well-made movie in many ways, I didn't like it as much as either La La Land or Whiplash, as it's lacking the emotional cores those both had. The cinematography was by Linus Sandgren, who won the Oscar for his work with Chazelle on La La Land, and has also worked with director David O. Russell on American Hustle and Joy. The scenes involving flight or training definitely look great and are shot and edited in a very immersive way, but don't expect a lot of showy long takes with deep focus like in La La Land. Instead, there's more handheld camera and lots of close-ups. There are some beautiful and more static shots of the moon and space that make this worth watching in a theater. The film format changes often from 16 to 35mm and to IMAX, and this was slightly jarring for me, but I'm sure most moviegoers won't notice or care. The visual effects are very impressive, and they did a lot of it in camera with miniatures and other practical effects. The acting is overall quite good, but nobody will blow you away. Gosling is great as always, but this isn't one of his best performances. He plays the, at this point, typical stoic Ryan Gosling character. He doesn't show much emotion, which is apparently true to the real Neil Armstrong, but it may make the film less accessible for some. Chazelle's film is tightly focused on Armstrong, and unfortunately the rest of the cast suffers. Foy is good enough here, but there's just not that much to her character. None of the others are particularly memorable or compelling either. There are a few slightly humorous moments, but for the most part the tone is quite serious. First Man is a bit too long at over 2 hours and 20 minutes and could have used some tightening up. The very beginning hooked me, but it took a while after that to get going. The Apollo 11 mission doesn't take off until about an hour and 45 minutes in, and before that, many of the dialogue-heavy scenes back on the ground, while not bad, just weren't super interesting to me. First Man has gotten a great reception from critics with a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 85 on Metacritic. Chazelle has now had 2 films in a row get nominated for Best Picture, and it's very likely that he'll make it 3, but personally, I don't see it winning. Chazelle has already won Best Director and been nominated for Screenplay twice, and he's likely to get nominated again for both this year. Gosling has a decent chance at a Best Actor nomination, but Foy is unlikely to get one due to how much competition there is in that category. There will surely be plenty of other Oscar nominations in the technical categories as well. First Man reportedly cost around $70 million to produce, and according to Hollywood Reporter, is tracking at an $18 to $20 million opening weekend. I'm not sure how popular this film will be with mainstream audiences who might be looking for a more traditional biopic of Neil Armstrong. It also has stiff competition from Venom and A Star is Born. That's it for this review. Please don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for listening.